Picture this, it's 2022, and a truly stunning, incredibly detailed piece of art enters the Colorado State Fair Fine Arts Competition, and it ends up taking home first place. But then, absolute awe turned into immediate outrage when the public found out a machine generated the entire image. No way, right? The boundaries between human capability and machine output are now officially and permanently blurred. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking one of the most fascinating and absolutely fastest-growing technologies in all of human history. We're looking at a fundamental tectonic shift in how our world operates, and a technology that's aggressively reshaping the very fabric of our daily lives.
We've literally reached a point where machines are writing comprehensive books, creating original, award-winning art, navigating cars through chaotic city streets, and holding natural, incredibly nuanced conversations. But hey, it goes way deeper than just cool party tricks. Get this, a machine recently diagnosed a rare blood condition that had completely stumped human medical specialists for months. And how did it do it? Simply by cross-referencing millions of medical journals in a matter of seconds. I mean, just take a second to really absorb the magnitude of that. This isn't some distant science fiction concept anymore, you know? This is our current reality. In just a handful of years, this specific technology has entirely reshaped business, education, healthcare, entertainment, and even the fundamental ways we communicate with each other. It's absolutely everywhere.
Which naturally brings us to the core question. How did AI actually become so powerful? Okay, let's dive into this. To truly grasp the magnitude of this rapid technological shift, we can't just look at the surface. We need to unpack exactly how these underlying systems work, explore their origins, and look ahead at what this all means for humanity's future in the coming decades.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Understanding Artificial Intelligence.
Before we look at where we're headed, we have to establish the foundational concept of what actually makes a machine intelligent. Broadly speaking, artificial intelligence is simply the ability of machines to perform tasks that historically required a human brain. We're talking about a massive range of activities here: learning new information, problem-solving complex issues, recognizing images, understanding both spoken and written language, and ultimately making complex decisions based on all of that incoming data. But honestly, the absolute best way to think about AI is to picture a brilliant student that simply never ever stops learning. Every single web search you make, every image uploaded to a server, every one of those security captchas you click asking you to identify a crosswalk or a traffic light, it all acts as a micro-lesson. We're collectively helping the AI become just a little bit smarter every single time we interact with the digital world.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the contrast with how things used to be. For decades, traditional software was entirely rigid. Think of it kind of like a train on a track. A programmer wrote the rules using strict if this, then that statements. The computer followed those instructions exactly, and it couldn't adapt. If it hit a situation outside of its programmed rules, bam, it crashed. But artificial intelligence represents a crucial evolutionary leap. It doesn't run on tracks. It navigates an open field. AI improves continuously by learning from enormous amounts of data. Instead of being spoon-fed a static set of rules by a human coder, it's given a goal and a massive data set, and it figures out the optimal rules entirely on its own. It evolves, adapts, and shifts based on the exact information it consumes.
Moving right along to Section 2, the history of AI. Exactly how did we get here?
To truly appreciate today's technological heights, we have to look at the incredibly uneven journey it took to reach them. The dream actually started way back in the 1950s. Early computer scientists, pioneers like Alan Turing, already believed that computers could eventually think like human beings. But as we moved into the 1960s and stretched all the way through the 1990s, progress remained painfully slow. In fact, the industry actually calls parts of this era the AI winter. The main reason? Early computers simply lacked the processing power needed to handle advanced intelligence. To put this into perspective for you, the massive supercomputers that guided the Apollo missions to the moon in the 1960s literally had less processing power than the little USB-C charging block you use for your smartphone. They just weren't strong enough. But then, an explosive shift happened from the 2000s to the present. The rise of incredibly fast processors, scalable cloud computing, and crucially, the modern internet changed the whole shebang. Suddenly, AI wasn't starved for information. It was instantly fed billions of data points. This massive, unprecedented access to human knowledge was the exact spark needed to ignite a revolution.
And that specific data explosion, that was the catalyst for the development of machine learning and deep learning. Instead of just storing information, computers started acting a bit like the neural networks inside our very own brains. By feeding the entire internet's worth of text, images, and video into these complex learning models, computers began to recognize patterns faster and more accurately than ever before. And AI didn't just see a bunch of pixels anymore. It learned to actually recognize the concept of a cat, or the edges of a stop sign, or even the cadence of human poetry. This huge leap in pattern recognition is the exact moment the modern AI era we live in today officially began.
Which brings us right to Section 3, AI in Everyday Life.
Because this technology isn't just happening in some sealed-off laboratory somewhere. And this brilliantly illustrates how billions of people quietly use AI every single day, often without even realizing it's actively running in the background. In healthcare, it's cross-referencing patient scans to help doctors detect microscopic signs of disease far earlier than the human eye ever could. In banking, when you swipe your credit card in a new city, an AI model instantly analyzes hundreds of variables, your past purchases, your typical locations, the time of day, and approves or declines that transaction in mere milliseconds to prevent fraud. In entertainment, well, it's that invisible, highly lucrative engine recommending exactly which movie you should stream next, keeping us all engaged on social media for hours. And in transportation, it's the fundamental system allowing self-driving cars to predict human behavior and understand complex road conditions. We're talking about completely different, highly complex sectors of human society, all being powered by the exact same underlying technology. And the real-world applications just keep expanding. Massive factories are currently utilizing AI-powered robotics to build products with a level of microscopic precision and speed that's simply impossible for human hands. On a much more personal level, we all interact with the virtual assistants on our phones or our kitchen counters. They can pull answers from the vastness of the internet in seconds, well, even if they do occasionally mishear your simple request for a 10-minute pasta timer and decide to blast 80s arena rocket maximum volume instead. But honestly, despite the occasional hiccup, this technology has quietly but firmly rooted itself as an inescapable, fundamental part of modern human life. Now, as with any massive societal shift, we have to look at Section 4, Opportunities and Risks.
We always have to remember that technology itself is fundamentally neutral, right? A complex line of code is neither inherently good nor inherently bad. We're looking at some incredible opportunities right now, like the potential to vastly improve education through highly personalized learning experiences tailored to a student's exact learning pace. We're watching AI models map the structures of millions of proteins, helping scientists discover entirely new life-saving medicines in days instead of decades. Productivity is up across almost every measurable industry. But, on the flip side, we must impartially weigh these against very serious, very valid risks. Job displacement and automation are major concerns for the global workforce. Privacy issues are growing exponentially as these massive systems require more and more of our personal data to even function. And, perhaps most critically in the short term, there's the rising threat of hyper-realistic misinformation, deepfake videos, and cloned voices. These are serious, destabilizing challenges that global society is being forced to confront right now.
So, the crucial point is best captured by our source material. Its impact depends on how people choose to use it. The technology is already here, and folks, the genie is not going back into the bottle. Experts across the globe agree that our future relies entirely on how responsibly humanity decides to develop, guide, and regulate these incredibly powerful tools moving forward. The machine will ultimately do what we design it to do, meaning the burden of responsibility remains entirely human.
Which leads us nicely to our final section, embracing the future.
If you take away just one core message from this explainer today, it should absolutely be this. Artificial intelligence is no longer a technology of tomorrow. It's actively, aggressively shaping our world today. The question is no longer whether AI will change our lives because, well, that's already happened. As these incredible systems continue to evolve at lightning speed, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. How will we adapt to this new era? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.